And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Select Star Network. I hope you guys enjoyed that little ASMR experience I just did for you all. There's a very special reason why I'm not introducing any of my co hosts or anything that's going on. You might also be wondering why the screen is black, or if I wasn't lazy, maybe I put on a little audio graphics. Well, the answer to this is quite simple, my dears. Due to the family weekend that has taken place this weekend here in Canada, oh, that's so good. And also the fact that instead of getting a reading week here at Fanshawe College, or Northern Ontario, or I should say Ontario colleges, we had a reading day. I am flying solo and doing the podcast in the comfort of my hotel room. It's crazy, right? It's like so crazy. And if you're wondering what those noises were, that is the delicious combination right now of a Coke Zero and rum with some ice. Because I have not done a. Fuck me, man. I don't think I've done a solo podcast since. I want to say 2000. Is it 2008? Yeah, 2008, maybe 2009. The last time I did a solo podcast was when I was working for the news company, news website aggregate that I helped create. Not even help create, just help get off the ground. Named Halfway Between Here and There. I was doing it with my friend Paul, and I was assigned as the assistant editor in chief. And all that meant was I got a fancy title and I got to make connections with people. Yeah, it was kind of cool because during that time I was able to make a couple of cool deals with some book publishers, video game developers, and some music guys. Because the website Halfway Between Here and There, I like the name. Actually, I really did, especially the acronym like HBHD. For some reason, I really like clung on to that. I thought it was kind of a cool name. We did everything like from literature, comic book to webcomic reviews to the other side of the spectrum, which was music, games, like movies, the television, whatever we wanted to talk about. Because when we first started, we were probably a crew of, I want to say almost 10 people. I think close to around that. Yeah, probably around 7 or 8 people. It was a kind of a big number. And when I first started, I didn't really have a specific role. I was invited to come in. I was initially like, well, maybe I'll do the game reviews. And at that time, I had some experience with video editing, being on camera, very little. Like, and I mean, it's disgusting how little it was. Like, when I look at those old footages, which you can still find online, I'm green as fuck, man. There's so many chop quick edits, like just really rough cuts in the videos because none of us, and again, including me, because even now I'm pretty fucking shitty at this. I had everything cut, so I would say a sentence and I'd forget the next line, so that we'd have to stop and we'd just do a quick cut, like a smash cut. What you see, Phil DeFranco when you watch his Philly D stuff, or not Philly D stuff, excuse me. That's his vlog. When you look at the Phil DeFranco show, that's what he does. Like he'll talk, cut, and bop. Jeremy Johns is another one who does it. The only difference is when they do it, it sounds fluid and it's nice, and there's no real rough end to it. Versus when I was doing it over there with HBHT, oh my god, it was so terrible. It was bad. But with that company, I remember like we really pushed it, and unfortunately, like anything, you learn pretty quickly. You can't trust your friends, and you shouldn't hire your friends, at least right off the bat, right? Especially when you're doing something that is not for profit. Like, we weren't making any money. We didn't have any crazy aspirations at the time. We just wanted to push something from the ground up and see what we can make. And with HBHT, we started strong, like I said, like 7 or 8 people, but then maybe after a month, that number dropped to like 4 people. It was Paul, myself, Josh, and Jess. We would occasionally have someone come back in and say they were still interested and they may do a book review. I think in total we had maybe 3 or 4 book reviews that tallied up the entire experience we were doing this, and we were doing it for about, I want want to say like 5 to 6 months, if not maybe more than that. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, it was one of those moments where everyone just dropped and it got hard. So then we had to start cutting back on what we were doing. So I remember once I did a book review for this person off the Rooster Teeth website, and oh man, I really wish I could remember what the name of the book was. It was like it was a book made by this lady Stephanie off the Rooster Teeth website, like I said, and her book was talking about her experiences with different men that she met, but like kind of equating her relationship with those men to ice cream. It was actually I really liked it. It was a very fun and personable read, and so I was able to do that. But like past that, man, it was hard for me to write. I'd like to even read any book if it wasn't, for some reason, I've always been drawn to like autobiographies. It's always been a real big one for me. Shit, Mick Foley's Have a Nice Day. This one's more of a farce, but Stephen Colbert's I'm America and So Can You. Around the World's in Tights. The Chris Jericho autobiography. Kevin Smith's Tough Shit. Things like that. Like those are the kind of type of books where I like reading or listening to. Like I just started listening not too long ago to Tina Fey's Bossy Pants, right? Miss Bossy Pants? Something like that. So that was a little tangent. I apologize. Going back. So when we were down to like the 4-band crew, we really crunched down to like, well, what is it can we really do? Well, I had struck some deals with Sony Music, and we were getting, releases from them to review. I'm like, as much as I love doing that, we don't have enough dedication to that, because one of the other bigger factors that we were pushing is we were doing a really good thing with webcomic reviews, movie reviews, and video games. With video games, we got lucky enough that we were able to start getting notice from companies, and like not little, just little guys. I don't know how this happened, but maybe it's just because they understand any publicity is good publicity, and maybe they also thought, well, we can kind of twist these guys' little perceptions of this because we're big guys and we're giving them free shit, so they're always going to give us good reviews, which is always a possibility. But we got on the good side with Blizzard, and this is when World of Warcraft, what is it, Cataclysm? I think that's what it's called, right? The whole like world altering event where WoW Vanilla no longer existed. It was the world after it, which I think is Cataclysm. So we got that. I got a free copy of Fallout New Vegas for the PC, which if they thought they were going to get a great review, unfortunately they did not with me. I had too many technical issues with that game where it literally took me out of the experience, and I'm not a fan. And unfortunately, the Fallout series, Skyrim, a lot of the it's Bethesda. The Bethesda guys, when they make their games, they don't really concentrate on facial animation, which for whatever reason for me is a big deal, especially on like a giant rich 3D world. So the camera would zoom in on the person's face, and it would just be like the mouth would just go up and down, and maybe the eyebrows might raise a little bit, but it never, like, there was no emotion into what they were doing. So that always bothered me. And then, like I said, with New Vegas, one of the things that really I'm like, okay, I'm done, was the dog, the girl's dog. When I first see it, its eyes are not even in its head. It's floating above, like maybe almost half a foot above it, and it's like that was its own thing, its own little space. Because that, for whatever reason, that counted as a hit marker. So it was occupying actual space, but just not in the dog above it. It just, even Felicia Day being in the game, it couldn't save me. Like, it couldn't save the game for me. So, I'm sorry, Bethesda. And if you ever want to send me free stuff, we can talk again. I'll swear, baby, I'll give you good reviews. But it's funny just thinking about that. How, like, the facial animation stuff really matters to me. Because I come from the world of Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo and Nintendo. But really on Nintendo 64 side, where, like, I just started playing again. I'm going to quickly say this, and I'm going to get back to it. I started playing again Majora's Mask. I saw the Game Grumps episode of Majora's Mask, so I wanted to start playing it again. And the facial reactions, there are none. There's some occasional, like, big eyes and stuff, but that's it. So it makes me laugh at that. I'm okay with that. But then I see something from Skyrim or Bethesda, anything from Bethesda, or even the Mass Effect series. I'm not the biggest fan of just lips moving. going back to the thing, back to the HBHT. Yeah, so we're getting traction. It was great. And one of the things that caught our eye that we understood that could give us some perspective, some light, some notoriety was there was this fan event that was happening in Toronto called RVBTO. It's a Red versus Blue Toronto. It was it was literally a fan created event where a bunch of, as you guessed it, fans, lovers, admirers of Rooster Teeth, but specifically at that time would have been Red versus Blue, would get together every year and they would just talk, have drinks, go celebrate at the Ryan Ram, I think it's something like that, at Ryerson University, at their pub there, and just have a good time. And sometimes they would do showings, or I think every year for a while they would do showings of the Red versus Blue, maybe the current season, maybe the entire thing. It depended on how long the event lasted. And after a while, the Rooster Teeth guys started noticing what was like this massive gathering of fans in Canada. So they're like, well, maybe we'll just drop in. So now RBBTO became this huge, legitimate attraction for Rooster Teeth fans, either from Canada or just anyone who's around the border. So they started gathering, and they went there. And when Paul and I noticed that, and obviously me being a Rooster Teeth fan, I'm like, maybe we should contact the event organizers and see if we can, set up shop and talk to some of the organizers, the attendees. Maybe we'll get lucky, and fuck it, I'll send a message to Matt, Bernie, and Joel, because they're the ones who are going to be the guest stars there. Maybe we can talk to them, and maybe we can rub some elbows together, maybe get a little notoriety off of them. Excuse me. And sure enough, that's what happened. We contacted them, and we're like, yeah, totally, fuck, that sounds great. This is, like, come on in, like, we love it. And I contacted Bernie, Matt, and Joel. I think I ended up getting referred to Matt, because Matt was like the business guy, and he's like, yeah, sure, like we'll set this up, sure, like we'll do it at this time. We have a presentation. If you guys want to film it, that's cool. And after that, we'll meet up at the pub and we'll talk. So we did that. The event was amazing. Sorry, I'm thinking about it now. I'm still sometimes at a loss of words that they actually said yes. That they're like, yeah, you're no one. You know what I mean? But the fact that I guess that we politely try to set something up with them, converse with the staff, and maybe the staff from RBB2 told them, like, yeah, we talked to these guys, they seem cool, you'll be safe. We got there, and I said hi to them first, and then afterwards we hung out and we did the interview, and it was, they said something. I believe it was Matt and Bernie, but Bernie's the one that I believe is Bernie the one who articulated the most about this, and he had said, if you want to succeed, and I'm paraphrasing right now, so I'm really sorry about this, but he's like, if you want to succeed on the internet, if you want to start a website, if you want to start whatever it is, because at the time, YouTube really wasn't, I don't think they wasn't even on their radar yet. I don't know if they started putting their videos on YouTube yet at that time. I can't remember anymore. But they said, if you want to make it on the internet with the millions of other people trying, you gotta stay consistent. You have to constantly push and make sure something comes out, and you don't have a day where you're late, or if you can stock up so you have like 3 to 6 episodes of whatever it is that you're creating, and you may have like this time of like a fallback time. So, like, oh shit, we can't do anything this week. Well, that's fine. We still have 3 episodes of whatever in the bank. We can rely on the one week and get back to it the next week. Obviously, you can't do that with podcasts, especially the type of podcast that we do, because our podcasts are topical. Or, also, actually, you know what? It's not even that topical. It's sometimes sometimes things get brought up where we have a discussion about it. But a lot of it is just things that happen in our lives, which we can always refer to at any point. It just makes it easier to talk about it right there and then, because it's it just happened, so it's fresh in our minds as we have the full details. Versus if we do it the next week, we might have forgotten like something that might have been funny or something that we would have thought was important at that time. Anyways, he had said, stay consistent, don't give up, and push yourself to make sure that you're heard and you're trying out different ventures. I remember them saying, and I still stick to this, like I try my hardest, to make stuff consistently and have an actual release schedule was another thing. And like that's why I always like releasing the videos, the podcasts on Wednesdays. Originally at 1:30, I'm trying now at 10 o'clock. I'll see if that works, if that's any better. I'll probably get you guys reactions to see if it's worth it or not, to be honest. But it was that moment of don't stop, push, 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 because sooner or later it might take a while. It might take 3 to 4 years, but you'll finally reach the audience that you've always wanted to reach. It just it not determines, but it depends on how passionate you want to be about it. That's one of the things that I realized that I took to heart, because I think that is an important aspect in all this. Anyways, the interview went great. Then we drank and we drank, and I told this to a couple of the guys on the podcast off camera, but I'll say it now. One of the things that made me laugh that night was this is gonna be this nice little segue connecting to two different things, just so you guys know. But it's one of the things that made me really fall in love with Rooster Teeth was the community. You went in there. It didn't matter if you were skinny, fat, long hair, no hair, a guy, a girl, somewhere in between. Whatever. You're there because you love Rooster Teeth. You have a common ground, and people were so accepting right off the bat. It was so amazing, especially at the drinking part where everyone started loving each other. And I remember this because at one point there was a bunch of these these guys from the armed forces, the Canadian military. And they're like, "Oh, you're Canadian?" I'm like, "Of course I'm Canadian." Like, "Oh yeah," and they were very patriotic. And at one point, the Americans were like, "What the hell's going on?" And a bunch of us just got together and started singing "Oh Canada," drunk as oh my god, we were so drunk. What is that fucking dumb? What is that expression? Drunk as a skunk. We were that. Like it was, you could smell it off of us the moment you saw us. It was so dumb. I love it. And we would sing that, and then at the end, instead of the Americans being like, "Oh my god, what do?" They just start clapping and cheering, just like this big hoorah. Like, this giant network of friends that I didn't think even existed. That to this day there are some people on there that I still talk to from that event. I not as much as I want to anymore, unfortunately. I'm gonna push more and more to talk to them, but like it networked me into, it coerced me. Coerced. I don't know what the word is. I'm drinking. Shut up. But it was cemented that I was gonna be around for this community. We do this setup, and we do the interview. We have a good time with everyone. We take pictures. Everything's great. I found out that Matt Hollum's a cheater when he drinks. We were playing Flip Cup, which if anyone doesn't know what that game is, especially with the younger kids, hopefully no younger kids watching this, because what's wrong with you? But this is the internet after all. Flip Cup is a game where you have a bunch of cups that there's a amount of beer in there or water, whatever you want. You chug it, you put it down, and then you got to flip the cup so that the giant, if I remember this correctly, so there's two ways of playing it. Sorry, there's a gap there. I'm trying to remember which way is supposed to be the correct way. Yeah, so it's the giant, the rim, the actual rim is down, and you got to flip it up so that it lands properly facing up. I believe that's what it was. That or it's the other way around, where you have the stem, actually the bottom of it on the ground. You flip it, and then the rim is the one part that's actually flat on the ground. People are going down the line, and it falls upon myself and Matt Hollum, who, if you guys don't know who that is the voice of Sarge on Red vs. Blue. He's also been in a bunch of podcasts. He's directed Laser Team 1 and 2. He's done a lot of behind the scenes stuff lately. I think he's is it COO, CEO, whatever. He is like the big wig at Rooster Teeth before it reaches full screen. And he starts chugging. I start chugging. For whatever reason, I was able to drink faster. I put my stuff down, and I'm trying to flip. I'm trying to flip. It's not working. And by the way, we weren't. I believe the way that we were doing it, we weren't drinking out of the solo cups. We actually had a full pint of beer that we were drinking out of. That's what we were doing. We would drink the full pint, and then we'd flip this cup. That's how we were playing it. So I chug mine. I'm trying to flip it. Matt drinks his. He's trying to flip his. He's a little bit behind. He tries a couple times, doesn't like what's happening, just grabs it, turns it, flips it, and then jumps on the table, be like, fuck yeah, I win. Whoa! Just fucking so drunk and belligerent. It was so amazing. One of the best experiences of my life. I'm like, man, that's what I want to make it to that point where I could just be around a bunch of cool ass people, jump on a table, scream, people cheer for you, even though you just cheated and you technically didn't win the game. You should have been disqualified, but whatever. I'll let it slide for now. Just hire me now, Matt. If you're wondering, by the way, why there were pauses every now and then, it's because I'm taking a drink of my cocktail. Anyways, we wrap that whole thing up for the first night, and we collect all the footage. I go back to the hotel, and I think it was either day 2 or day 3. It might have been the last day of the event. It was Paul, his girlfriend, myself, Chia, that is Tracy's friend, and obviously Tracy with us. And I was left alone inside of the hotel room. So it might have been, I can't remember, it might have been the second night or third night. And I sat down. I think it was I think it might have been the first night. Because I remember my voice being so hoarse, so raspy. But I sat down and I hit the record button. And I believe I ended up by recording something that was about 40 minutes long. It was my first podcast. I think it might have been the first podcast I had ever done at that point. And it wasn't even like this, where I'm more casual, I'm more intimate with you folks. It was actually more, let's see if I can remember this. So like, yeah, so we actually went and did this, and it was a really good time. I really have to say, in my professional opinion, these individuals and the event that they ran, my word, it's something so stupid. Like I was trying so hard. I was maybe what, fucking, Jesus Christ, how old was I? Oh my God, was I 20? 20 or 21? I was a young fucking pup. All right, I was just so young and so foolish in my life. But anyways, that is the first time that I ever did a solo podcast. I don't think I've done one since. I've done like vlogs where I've sat down and talked in front of the camera. Biggest difference between that and a solo cast, this is what I'm like calling it right now, is that I can stop. I'd be like, oh fuck, let's try this again. Or if I flub, I can just cut it out and it's not the end of the world. I am not going to cut anything from this. If you hear a flub, you're going to hear a fucking flub. It's just how it is. Unless I say something extremely racist or a bigot, like something very like that a bigot would say. I want to make sure that you guys hear. I'm saying bigot with a B. Okay, bigot. Because I'm not an asshole. I'm an asshole, but I'm not that kind of asshole. So I want to see how long I can do this for. I want to see if I can actually hold a conversation with myself. If you guys are actually interested in this, let me know, because fuck, maybe I'll continue doing this down the road every now and then. If I know that we can't get together with the crew and go ahead and do something like this, because to be honest, I don't mind doing solo casts. It's kind of nice. I can say whatever the hell I want. There aren't any issues of being interrupted by someone. Which, I'll talk about that right now. So I was talking to Lib about this, actually, as long as I don't interrupt myself like I just did. And we were talking about the dynamics of the podcast. And we're kind of both in agreement of a couple things. One of them being when we're doing the two-man show, so if it's just Lib and I, we find that we can hold conversations with ourselves for, like, between the two of us for a very long time. And there isn't really a lull in between of everything. And I think it's because both Lib and I kind of quickly realized we're very similar in some of our interests, our point of views, but also we have the unfortunate for you guys, the gift of gab, where we could just fucking talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And it's not an issue for us. We can do it forever. For Christ's sakes, I've been doing this right now, and I've been doing this for roughly 25 minutes by myself. So I know that's not an issue for me. Maybe an issue for you fucks, but you know what? Thanks for listening, and I appreciate you, and I love you. And with the two-man shows, we can be as nerdy as we want. Like, there is no threshold as to what we can and can't talk about. Again, as long as we're not racist or a bigot. I want to hit that B really hard to make sure that people hear what I'm saying. Versus when we do the shows with 3 people. 3 people, it's not too bad, as long as we have someone who's comfortable being in front of the camera and won't just shut down and not say anything. Which, because then at that point, it kind of just turns a two-man show with a third person just being like a hype man, be like, yeah! And then that's it. Or, yes! And then that's it. Excuse me. That's not the goal when we do the three-man shows. We want to be able to have a conversation between, obviously, three people and everyone have an input. And it's also sometimes it's interesting having a third individual there, because as a third co-host, you could potentially, especially if there's an argument, if we're looking for a side to win, quote-unquote win, well, that third person could tip the scale. Or they could bring a totally different aspect that we didn't even think about, which then blows our minds, and we might just agree with that person. And then we all fucking give each other hand jobs because we're all best friends. And then there's the four-man setup. The four-man setup is kind of like your... I say it's a standard. It's not really a standard podcast setup, but it's the one where you can do the most topics with. And by that I mean, when you do your topics, instead of having a conversation, you hit your points, you say your piece, and then someone else may say something, and someone else may say something. And you maybe have like a little quick back and forth, but then the topic ends and you continue with something else. Because I've realized with the four-man setup, if you don't drop it and then continue on to a new subject, a new topic, you start having that two-person conversation. Or you might even start having people just talking over each other to get that limelight, to get that notice, to be like, oh, actually, here's what I have to say. And they have every right to say something, but it's hard to want to say your piece when there's always someone constantly puking out words. When there's a verbal diarrhea happening, and there's a audible verbal diarrhea that's happening, and you can't jump in and wipe it up and then be like, actually, here's what I want to say. Or, once again, if you're looking for someone to have a response and like you throw it to them, well, they might not know anything about the subject, and they won't say anything, because the way that we do things for the SSN podcast, now available on Google Play and iTunes and Stitcher, but Stitcher's being weird and it's not actually popping up. I'll fix that. What's happening when we do the podcast is I might have I'll create a Google Docs and I'll have like general topics that I'm finding interesting, things that I might want to talk about. And if someone wants to add, they can go ahead and add to it. So sometimes we'll have a list of like 20 things that could be talked about. And to be honest, we might get to like 5 of them? ? Like, I really don't know. Yeah, because what happens is, which is what I love, is you start the topic and then you start segueing, and then that segue turns to a segue, which then turns to a tangent. And then you're like, oh, wait, what were we talking about? And you kind of bring it all back around to it. I love that. That is so fucking fun. Because, like, it's in those moments where someone drops their guard and you can actually get to see them. It's not this persona, this character they're putting up in front of the cameras where they're nice and polite and do. No, you're actually someone. You're actually you. You are a person. Sorry, my phone just went. I had to double check it. You're not hiding anymore because you've lost yourself in the conversation, which is a thing that I really like listening to, especially when it comes to the Rooster Teeth podcast and what is now called ID10T, the Idiot podcast, ID10T podcast with Chris Hardwick. Because a lot of the time what he'll start doing is he'll just start talking and the person's going to have a conversation and like maybe about a minute in, it's like, wait, are we recording? And Chris is like, yeah, we've just started the show. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they continue. But then when you have the downfall, like I said, with the four-man setup, is you throw it to the person and they didn't know what you're going to talk about. So they might not have done the research, or sometimes they don't even check the list at all, which I don't expect everyone to. To be honest, I just throw it up there. If someone's interested, they can take a look and they can form something off of what's given there. But it's happened where a conversation started and it's thrown to someone and all they have to say is, yeah. and then the person who threw it at them, whether it's Lib, myself, or Colin, or whoever, or Nuno threw it to someone else, and they're just like, yeah. But what? Why aren't you saying more? You need to say more. We're on a podcast. So then that's when sometimes you don't get that actual real person experience, the real conversation, because the person doesn't have an opinion, or they don't even think about it. And then they don't think the ball's going to be thrown at them. And you pass them the ball, you pass them the rock. Well, what do they do with it? It falls. It happens. And I'll never hold someone against that to them. But after doing this 8 times now, yeah, 8, technically 10, because I'm pretty sure we had 2 of them, 2 podcasts that got scrapped due to stupid reasons. One of them was we ran out of memory. No, wait, that was a totally different one. One of them was it never recorded to the hard drive, which I think was what episode 8 we talked about. No, episode 7 we talked about that. Yeah, episode 7 or 6. I can't remember anymore. Jesus Christ. And then the other one was it recorded audio but no video. For whatever reason, the video wasn't working. So we just decided, like, fuck it, scrap it. Which I wish we didn't now, because if I would have known I was going to bring all of this to the audio format, motherfucker, we could have had, like, 12 episodes out by now. We could have just been laughing. I wouldn't have to be doing this right now. I could have just released that, and that would have been my cover. No one would have known. Unless we talked about something very specific. Sorry, if you're hearing some smash noises, because I'm very clumsily putting the glass on the counter in the hotel room. Which, we can talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, today is February 20th, 2018. It is a Tuesday. My lovely wife and child, I love them so much. I have not been with them since September. When we had the strike, I was able to come down for the month and a half. But roughly about a month. Yeah, I think it was maybe a month and a half, like a month and a week. I think that's what it was. I was able to be with them, and it felt great. But then I came back to school, and I have been living away from them technically for about 5 months now. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been pretty hard. It's not something that I originally wanted to have happen. If you guys listened to the podcast before, you know that originally the plan was we were having the house renovated. Excuse me, my voice went froggy there. Oh no, I think it's still froggy. Hold on. Excuse me. Yeah, there's a lot of fun there. We were renovating the house in August with this kind of construction company. Buckingham Construction, I think is what they were called. And they had promised us, well, while I was gone to RTX for about a week, by the time I come back, their construction was going to be done. And what they had to do was put up drywall and slap on the, not the putty, but I'm going to call it the putty because I can't remember what it's called anymore. The thing that seals up the lines and the cracks and stuff so that it's a smooth surface, so then you can paint on it. But you got to sand it first and shit. And which we should have known there was something wrong with how long the timeline was when they said maybe a week. But whatever, we were hopeful. And I could have understood if it would have taken them longer to do it if we still had the paneling on the walls, which we didn't. Originally, the house that we bought was filled. Like every room, the ceiling was all... Oh, maybe not the ceiling. The ceiling was shitty, tiled, like foam stuff that was just nailed onto the ceiling. But the walls were wooden panels, like thin sheets of wood that you used to see like in your grandma's house, right? It's that kind of stuff. And we tore everything out. We tore all the paneling out, and even the ceiling. We tore the ceiling down. So everything was exposed and ready to go for them. They didn't even have to get rid of the garbage. We got rid of it for them. We supplied a goddamn dumpster for them. They just throw shit in. That kind of stuff. Anyways, I get back and from RTX, great time. I loved every minute of it. But then when I come back, Tracy's like, "Yeah, they're not done yet." I'm like, "Well, how close are they?" She's like, maybe, I can't remember, maybe 60%, we'll say. I'm like, "Are you fucking serious right now?" So, and we weren't going back home right away when she picked me up from the Toronto, the Pearson International Airport. We were going to London because we were going to check out some possible areas that we might be living in London, and I wanted to see Fanshawe for the first time. So we were doing that. Yeah, that construction did not stop until October, well after I left, which was the biggest bullshit part. And by the time we got finished, we weren't able to actually put the house on the market until yeah, but so by the time the strike started, they had finally finished construction. And when I came down, which was in October, I'm trying to backtrack. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, and then the house didn't get put on the market until fucking November. And November in Sudbury, it's cold as balls. Fucking there's snow as high as your knee, and if you're 6'4", that's pretty fucking high. And like no one's coming in to fucking buy a house. It's not happening. And then the real estate agent that we had promised us, like, we can sell it at this amount. It's not going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem. Well, it became a problem. And then finally by January, we realized, fuck, man, this is not selling. We can't do this. So we got her to sign a release for us as their client. And we couldn't sell the place until, I think it was like February or something like that. February 1st. So we're like, fuck it. Then that's what we're doing. And then we decided we're gonna try to rent the place. Well, renting never happened because we couldn't get someone. We couldn't get someone for the entire month of January. We couldn't find someone to goddamn fucking rent out the house, even though we had a bunch of people come in and look at it. And they're like, oh, it's a reasonable price. Oh, it's good in the neighborhood. And then it's like, motherfucker, just rent the goddamn house. Ultimately, I'm also like fast forwarding through a lot of this stuff because, again, it was said in the podcast, I think a couple times. And especially in the last episode, I talked about it in great details. During that time, Tracy found a job here in London, which is amazing. And it starts in 2 days, February 22nd, actually. So that was amazing. Just after that announcement, we got a buyer for the house, it was great. It's not for the amount that we had asked for, but we don't care at this point. We are still going to make a profit off of the sales of the house, and we're going to be able to recoup our finances, which is probably the best part in all this. And then, after we fucking sell the house, like the agreement to sell the house, we finally get a goddamn tenant, which is great, which is one of the things that was keeping Tracy back in Sudbury. This is all to lead to saying that tomorrow, I believe, I want to say around 3 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's 3 o'clock. My wife and my child will be with me once more inside a hotel, which sure may not be the best experience in the world, but I don't fucking care anymore. I am going to be with my family. And I can't stress how joyful that's actually made me. I don't like living by myself. I really don't. I've made a network of friends at school, which is great, but they live 30 to 40 minutes away from where I am, so it's not like we could just plan something out. Also, if we're going out drinking, or for just drinking at someone's house, or someone's place, I can't because I have to drive because I'm not going to stay there. It's crazy. So what ends up by happening, my dear friends, my dear listeners, is I don't really do anything on the weekends. I just stay inside the hotel. You lose your mind after a while, all right, to say the least. Then I started making friends, though, with Fredo Diaz's Discord chat. They call themselves the Fam. So that's great. Like, that's amazing. But I could only talk to them, late at night, which probably after this podcast, I'm going to see if I can maybe throw in a couple of games with them. But yeah, I can't do it anymore, unfortunately, because I go to bed around. I started going to bed around 1:30, and then it started into me going to bed at like fucking 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep anymore. So that's never fun. But all that's going to change, and it's going to change for the better, because I'm still going to play games with the fam, and I'm still going to do things with my friends, but I'm going to have my family with me, so that I'm not going to fucking lose my mind in this place when all I have is my thoughts. And after a while, your thoughts suck, okay? There's a reason why I was drinking a lot before the strike, where like I was buying like 2 to 3 cases of beer, and I would just get drunk almost every fucking night just to pass out. It was that bad. That's gonna change now, which I'm very happy. As I say this, I'm drinking fucking rum, but I've learned to control myself. So haha, fuck you, I'm not an alcoholic. Or maybe I am, but I know how to work it now. But yeah, that's it's gonna be nice that have them come in on tomorrow. I gotta clean up the hotel room a little bit because it is I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know why my headphones on. I'm not even fucking listening to myself. Fuck you, headphones. There you go. I can breathe again. Yeah. So they're coming in. So I gotta clean up the place. The second bed has been occupied with a lot of just random shit that I pulled out of my bags, which you know is never a good thing. But it is what it is. You gotta make it work. And I made it work when I was living by myself. Barely, but I was doing it. Also, if you're wondering what that creaking noise is, that's just the fucking chair that I have. It's a hotel chair, so it works, so I'm happy with it. But the next thing is something that I wanted to talk about last week. I didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. It was mentioned. But it's to kind of string into the next thing that's helped me throughout my time here, helped me build the person that I am today, the humor that I have, the editing style, my directions that I have, all relates to this company, Rooster Teeth. Where back in January 31st, so almost a month ago now, I celebrated technically it's 10 years of my life has been on the Rooster Teeth website according to their sign-in thing. It's technically longer than that. I've been watching them since 2004? Whenever 2005, whenever they released their first video. This is during the time I didn't know they had a website, and I'd find their material on a website called heavy.com. Heavy.com was, as far as I can tell, I thought of when I was, as a fat little teenage kid, it was just a normal website that had hosted videos. I think though, it was actually more of an E-Bombs World. I don't know how you guys say it, but I'm going to say E-Bombs World, where they stole the videos. They would rip it or whatever, and then they re-upload it on their site. I'm hoping that's not what the case was, but it might have been. Or I don't know. I was young and dumb, and I would never paid attention to that shit when I was a kid. So I've been watching their videos since like they first started. 2008 is when I first signed up, and since then I have always gone back to that website, and I have always supported that website, especially in the last few years, at least the last, I want to say 3 to 4 years. I have become at the time a sponsor, which is now a first member, because they have pretty much created the person that I am today. As dumb as it's gonna sound, they helped create the morals that I have, the acceptance that I have, because I could have went a total different route. I've seen people my age, especially from Sudbury, that are just they're hateful, they're not nice, they're not accepting of the cultures. A lot of them became just little internet trolls where all they do is start heat for no reason, except for the lols. Fuck, I hate that term. But that's all they do. They were just trying to stir the pot online, versus the people in Rooster Teeth and the people that I met, where it's just, hey, we're friends, let's talk. We can have discussions that you can get heated, but guess what? We're not gonna hold grudges against each other. Oh, cool, you're bisexual, that's awesome. Oh, you're you're a transgender, yeah. You're in transition, that's awesome. Tell me your story, I would love to hear it. You know what I mean? It's without them, I could have been someone completely different. Like I said, my humor that I have, the abrasiveness, the sometimes very loud, explosive attitude that I have, is all thanks to them. It's also thanks to them that I've been able to practice my writing. I've written many dumb journals on that fucking website. I've written scripts that no one will ever see, not because I think they're terrible, just because I was trying to be like Rooster Teeth and do Red versus Blue. I was trying to do Machinima. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but it helped spark this creative fucking engine. It helped light the fucking fires in my brain to just constantly produce stuff and not give a fuck, just try and push and succeed. It's without them that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be on the road that I am now. My original goal in life was to become a professional wrestler. And again, part of that was because I was watching a lot of wrestling, obviously, when I was a kid. Excuse me. But it was also because I just wanted to entertain people. If I can put a smile on a person's face, or if I can get someone to be like, yeah, that shit was cool. Not for the acknowledgement, for them to say that's cool because they enjoyed it and it made their time better, then why the fuck not? Like, why wouldn't I want to do something like that? You know what I mean? It makes sense. I wouldn't be here today, inside this hotel room doing this podcast with you, for you guys, and setting myself up for Fanshawe, for a career in film and television. I wouldn't know that the way of, like, I'm trying to find the right way to say this, that the media, the way that it's shifted, isn't going to be traditional television anymore. It's going to be online content. And that term online content will not just be for 10-minute, 5-minute skits of jokes. It's fully produced episodes. It's things like Day 5, 11 Little Roosters, Ruby, things like that. It's these concepts that are no longer like held in the realm of actual television on a box from a cable provider who has a station that you can pay for $5.99 a month, or you have to buy the package for fucking $49 a month, or whatever it is. You can get it online. You can get it for free if you just want to watch some ads, or you can support them directly. I know that's where the medium's going, and I know this thanks to Rooster Teeth. And I know that if I need to, I have a network of people that I can pull from to get support, to get critiques, to help build me and my brand that I have. To be able to do something like that, to have that kind of confidence in this landscape, I never would have had that on my own. Are you kidding me? It is thanks to Rooster Teeth for me to be here today talking to you, and I am eternally grateful. I don't think not internally, but eternally grateful. And it's still one of my goals. Is I would love to. And this is why I'm in school. My passion has grown from this, and this is why I want to make myself into a content creator that I can push, and to be a person that will get hired by Rooster Teeth, whether it's for editing, broadcasting, a host of something, a talent. I don't give a fuck. I want to give back to them, and this is the best way for me to do that in my mind. And it's one of those moments where I can actually say that I'm following my dream, and I'm following my dream thanks to them, and no one else. No one else got me here except for myself in this world that I was able to create thanks to the inspiration from these guys. No one else. And I want to make that very clear. I want people to understand that. Thank you, Rooster Teeth, is what I'm trying to say. All right, I'm done with this dick stroking segment, and I'm actually kind of, oh my god, I'm almost running on 50 minutes. Jesus Christ, I didn't think I was gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna slightly pat myself on the back right there. That's not fucking bad. Not fucking bad at all. But like all good things must come to an end. There was one last thing that I was gonna talk to you guys about, and it was something that was brought to me via a Dean, who you guys might actually have. I might actually have on the podcast soon, because he had an idea. He had asked, like, can I come on and talk? And I'm like, I'd love for you to come on and talk. And you guys might not know who Dean Soon is. But Dean is a Muay Thai fighter. He's a practitioner of Muay Thai, I believe Jiu-Jitsu, and Karate. And we met through, Jesus Christ, how did we... I think the first time we met might have been just through like an in-house tournament. We started chatting it up. I realized that he was a Dragon Ball Z fan, or a Dragon Ball fan in general. Yeah, and we just started fucking striking a conversation up, and it was fun. It was a lot more surprising than I thought it was going to be, which is always great. But he had this question, because I asked for people like, hey, if you guys have any questions for this Q&A thing that I'm doing, potentially Q&A thing, please let me know, because I'd love to be able to answer them. Because I didn't know if I was going to be able to fucking talk for this long, but I did, and I'm impressed. But he had asked a question, and I want to see if I can pull it up, and I'm trying to vent, and my internet is not... Okay, sorry, Dean, I can't get the actual quote for you, so I apologize on that part, but I'm just going to try to paraphrase. Basically, the question was, what do I see Select Start Network being? Is it just an in transition thing? Is this something that I would love to grow and maybe flourish? Or am I just doing this for like shits and giggles and I'm going to give up on it? Well, I have been doing stuff with the Select Start Network for quite a while now. Like, I mean, like, a long ass fucking time. So let's see if I can pull up this information, which I know I can. I started this channel back in April 28th, 2014. So in 2 months, we're about to pass the 4-year anniversary of Select Start Network. That's crazy. And since day one, we've been pushing and making new things. Now, obviously, we've taken a gap. There's been a little gap where there was a break, but we came back and we still push and push. And there's been little different variations of the Select Start Network. It started off as a highlight clip show of like just the best of certain gameplays that I did with friends. It also was a Game Grumps style 10-minute long videos that I was doing with Alex, which I still love doing, and I want to do it again very, very soon. Maybe finally finish Super Mario World, which then evolved into these long plays a la like Achievement Hunter style and multicams. Like that's been the craziest part. All this to say, this is not an in transition thing for me. This is not just a one and done. I make a couple videos and I quit. I want this channel. I want this to succeed. I would love nothing more for this to become the next big thing. Not for me, but for the people who help support this channel, the people that have done videos with me, the people who have done podcasts with me. I would love nothing more to be able to create something and actually pay them to do these things. To me, that is an amazing thing that can be done. That is to say, though, and I'm not gonna lie, during that time, if I get a job at a company like Rooster Teeth, I would have to put this on hiatus. I'm not gonna lie, because that is my dream job, is to go work for that company. Like, I just did like a fucking 10-15 minute spiel stroking their dick saying how much I love them. So of course, if they said, hey, come work for us, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna pull down my pants and you can just do it. And they're like, no, we just come work. What is wrong with you? Just work for us. And I'm like, but I know this has to happen. They're like, never mind, we don't want the no, don't take the job. I'm like, no, I want the job. Sorry, I started a little fucking tirade there. Anyways, I think that this is something that could grow into something great if I can get back on it and push as hard as I did before and continually have the support of the people that have helped me this entire time. People like Mal, Pat, Alex, Mike, or Michael, as you guys might know him, Liberty, Colin, any of those guys. What it will be, I don't know. This has constantly changed. I would love. Excuse me, man. I'm super gassy. Fucking breaded chicken really destroys my stomach. Apparently. I would love to go back to something I used to do with Alex, which was skits. These little like 4 or 5 minute little comedy videos I think are great to do, especially being in Fanshawe. We have resources where we can really grow on those ideas and have better productions, better sound quality. Doing Let's Plays again, I think would be an amazing thing. Once we are finally set up in an actual townhouse and not inside this hotel, I think it'll be a lot easier instead of doing it at the college, because we've had a lot of issues trying to do Let's Plays at the college. We've tried 2 or 3 times and we've constantly had a new issue, which has always stopped us from being able to record, or the recording failed. Doing it, I think, inside of the confines of a house or townhouse with the equipment that I'm most familiar with and I'm most comfortable with, I think will be the best thing to do. And yeah, just continue with the podcasts. I mean, I would love to take the podcast if we got enough popularity and support. I would love to be able to take this and put it on the road and do like a SSN live, like SSN podcast live. I think that'd be an amazing thing to do. Fuck, are you kidding me? Get an actual crowd reaction to know what works and what doesn't work, and get them to actually side with me for once, and I could be the good guy and Lib can go finally suck a fucking dick. Fuck you and your good looks, Lib. Anyways, I think that's about it for the show. Thanks everybody for joining me in the Select Start Network podcast, this Solocast, this ASMR edition. The plugs, as Lib loves so much. If you want to reach out to us, you can always hit us up. If you want to hit me up, you can always reach me on Twitter at SSN Larshay, Instagram SSN Larshay. If you want to support us, really the best ways to do so would be just subscribe, watch the videos, like, comment, as cheesy as it fucking sounds. But really, it's going to be the subscribe and liking. You can also subscribe to the Google Play. We're Select Start Network Podcast on there. On iTunes, same thing. Select Start Network Podcast. Again, Stitcher, apparently we're on there. I'm having a hard time actually pulling up the feed, so I got to check what's going on there. But Google Play, iTunes, we're on there. If you want to support us, just subscribe, rate us, leave us a comment there. And that's pretty much it, guys. I just want to say thank you very much for letting me talk for almost an hour. We're at like 56 minutes. I love you all so much, and I'll catch you guys next time.